Hi, this is Steve Dockery, and welcome back to the Moot Workshop. Today we're looking at an iMac Core 2 Duo from late 2006, early 2007. And yeah, this screen is not supposed to look like that. What happened was it started off with one vertical line, and then there was more vertical lines over time, more and more and more, and finally half the screen, and then the entire screen. Apple knew about this and in fact had an extended repair program after the warranty expired, but this happened after even that period expired, and so it was languishing unfixed for years. Today we're going to try and fix that on the Moot Workshop. Okay, so the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what's it worth to you? This computer is going for, used on eBay, about $85, $90 probably, including shipping. And so when you get a new screen for it, and I found one on eBay, it's going to be a sizable percentage of that price. I got this one for about 28 bucks shipped, and it's not clear to me if this has ever been used or not, because it's got plastic film on the front of it. So if I got lucky, this is an unused repair part, which is nice. Now, in terms of the actual part, I had to look up to find out exactly what the part was, because ordinarily I'd take it apart, figure out the part number, and then search for that. But taking this apart is not a simple task, and I was going to leave that till I actually did the repair. So here's the screen, and you can see we have various cables that plug in different places. The tricky part is getting in there to even get this thing out, so we're going to do that next. So I've put a protective towel, this very fancy red towel, on the workbench here to keep from marring the top of the machine. So the first thing we have to do is take out the cover that goes over the RAM bay. It's just a couple of Phillips screws. All right, so that's the lid off. Now these levers here pop the RAM up out of their slots. So now those are loose, so they can be removed. I can't quite get a hold of that. I'm gonna be very careful here and just grab the top edge of that. It's not how you're supposed to treat RAM. So now those are clear. And now we just have some more screws across the bottom of this that are all Torx T8s. So I'm going to use this T8 driver. And they are fairly tight. You'll note that this third one is slightly longer, so don't get those out of order. And that's the fourth one. Okay, next I'm going to lay this down like this, tuck those little handles in while I pull up on the bottom of the case. That should pop loose, because you don't want to get those caught in there. And now let me stand this up so you can see how we do this. This is the trickiest part of this operation. There's a latch on each side of this, and if you wiggle this up a little bit, you can sort of catch a glimpse of the metal in there. And I don't know if you can see it, but even if I could show it to you, you'd have a hard time seeing it. There's actually a lever that needs to go this way. And sometimes you can, like this side's already started to come loose. So I don't know if you can see that lever down in there. But that's the thing you got to work somehow on the other side. And it's really, really hard to see. So you're going to find this tricky, and that's normal. Try not to gouge the screen while you're at it. There we go. That's the trickiest part of it. I don't know what to tell you other than just be very careful not to bend any of the bits. It's hard to even show it to you in the video. You just need to make sure that you're able to push these that way, because there's a little hook on each side that needs to get disengaged. All right, so just very carefully lay that down so these wires don't get stressed too much. And the next thing we need to do is take out the LCD. And the first thing you'll notice when you look at this is that there's tape all around the edges of this, and there's a big taped over area here. All of this shielding needs to be pulled back. This down here we need to pull back to get to the cable, and this we need to pull back to get to the screws, and it's a pain in the butt. All right, so now you can see where the video cable is attached. We need a small Torx screwdriver. Let's see what I got here. And use the tab to pull it loose. Now we've got more tape. Now you're going to butcher some of this tape. There's just no way you're going to get this exactly right. Here, this top plastic section detached from the foil underneath it, so I'm just going to have to cut through the foil so that I can actually open this up, which is sad. All right. That's the tape. Now we have 4 Torx T8 screws, which you can barely glimpse down inside here on that corner and that corner, and the same on the other side. So we're going to remove those now. Now, ideally, you'd have a magnetized screwdriver. But since I do not, it's kind of hard to extract these screws out of there, so hopefully they can just come up with the frame, and I'll stick them in the frame when I lower it back down again. And all will be right with the world, but you never know. All right, with any luck, that means that the LCD should be loose now, and we should be able to pick that up. Now, there's some tape across the top of this that you have to kind of pull and separate from it to get it loose. And then you should be able to pick this up, turn it this way, and there's the display off, and you can see all the rest of the internals here. We just have this backlight cable to remove. Now, the backlight cable should be easy to unplug. In fact, its plug is right here. But the cable itself, on this machine at least, is trapped under this speaker box. So we need to take this T10 screw out. Then we can lift up the speaker box. Now we can get the wires for the backlight out of there and unplug the backlight. So now the display is separate. Here's the new LCD. Here's the old one. And you notice the new one hasn't got any of this tape hanging on it. We're going to need that, so I'm going to have to take it off the old one and put it on the new one. Okay, I've got the tape and foil added to the new screen. Before I put that on though, let's have a look here at the insides of this thing, because we're never going to see it again until we take it back apart. If you actually needed to replace the hard drive, which is there, or the optical drive, you'd have to take the screen out to get to all that stuff. So you can see how tightly packed and carefully fit together all of this is. When we put this back together again, we'll have to make sure we line a bunch of things up. That shroud, the foil across the bottom, has a couple of holes that line up with things on here, so hopefully I've got the foil lined up properly. Put this thing back together. First thing we've got is I've dropped the speaker back in place. Let's put the screw back on that, because I'm not going to route that wire underneath it this time. Okay, so here's the wire. Plug that in the correct direction. And then just feed it around the side of this. There we go. Now let's take this, basically sit it where it needs to be. There we go. Then I have to get the tape out of the way. Get those little brackets down where they're supposed to be. Lucky we have this all lined up. Okay. That's where it's supposed to be. Now the tricky part is getting all those screws back where they're supposed to be. That's one. All right, now we just have to make sure that this tape up here is all stuck down where it's supposed to be. and that these pieces on the sides are stuck down. It's obviously not going to go all exactly where it was, but it's going to be close enough. These pieces fold down, and this goes across here. So you make sure that this center is in the right spot. Now this screen has a piece of protective plastic on it. I'm going to go ahead and peel that off at this point. If this screen is used, which it may be from looking at some of the other things on the back of it, it looks like it used to have the tape stuck to it, but the screen still has this, and it's pristine. So I don't know. It could have been a used part. It could have been a never used repair part, but it looks fabulous. Oh, can't forget, we did not hook up video cable yet. I'm going to take that and plug it in where it belongs. Take these tiny little screws and not drop them into the machine. These are, if I'm not mistaken, T6s. There we go. Now we can fold this down. Okay, so now get these metal pieces inside the edge of the case. They should snap into place. Now make sure that these little levers are tucked in before you close this end of it. There we go. Now we should be all ready to put the screws back in. Turn it back up and put all the screws back in. It's a T6. This is the longer one. Now we have to put the RAM back in again. The RAM slots go, the little slot goes to the right of this machine. There we go. Okay. Now we just put this piece back in again, which uses a regular Phillips screwdriver. Now we should be able to hook this up. And if we've done our job properly, no lines. Well, there you have it. We've successfully replaced the screen on a Core 2 Duo white iMac from late 2006, early 2007. So come back and see us next time at the Moot Workshop.